She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy Gazpacho.
Dortmund can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Right, did you know that Arsenal is shy?
These got me buzzing.
Up the Toffees. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm not even gonna comment on that. Ooh, welcome back to another episode of Footy with the Boys. We have replaced our import from Britain with our regularly American cast here. Mike, welcome back to the pod. Are you feeling refreshed and renewed?
Top of the morning. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'll keep it.
Even British.
That's a little bit.
I don't
more
know what
Irish,
the hell that was.
Yeah.
It's close.
Yeah.
It's close enough.
I have Irish
In the
roots,
mood of
so.
in the mood of St. Patrick's Day. I like it. We are a festive pod for sure. Today we have a Champions League breakdown. We're gonna see who we think is the person most likely to win the Champions League that's already through, who's gonna go through other remaining games. We're gonna have a Prem rundown. We do still have some games this weekend. And then we have our one question with producer P. But first, our headline. And Mike, this is your favorite subject. It is the U.S. women's national team, and they won the inaugural CONCACAF W Gold Cup. Not
Yes,
women's.
sir.
They didn't spell it out. It's just the W Gold Cup. They win it. Lindsey Huron. Love that girl. She is
Dog.
She got that dog in her. When Carly Lloyd said this summer nobody has that dog in her, and then backed her to say, well, other than Lindsey Huron, you got to make sure you include her. Dog. Don't think either team played necessarily the most beautiful game here. USA comes out on top, though. Mike, as a massive U.S. women's national team fan, what did this mean for you?
It was cool, man. I paid quite a bit of attention to this tournament. I thought it was well done. I thought there was some good soccer. Props to the Brazilian team. They were fun to watch all tournament. They put on a show against Mexico in the semifinal, and they have some serious talent. They just couldn't really find the goal against the USA. USA had some tactics that kind of stuttered them, broke it up. Wasn't the prettiest game, but effective game plan. And Lindsey Huron, she bossed the midfield, came up big with a goal. She's deadly in the air. So congrats to them. I hope this turns into another long run of victories for them in the near future.
Yeah, they get back to their winning ways here, and a lot of talent, you said, for Brazil. A lot of talent for the U.S. that is young, and certainly was on display here. It is not the old guard that has been kind of dragging on, I would say, with the U.S. women's national team. So good to see some new talent come up in the U.S. and get their opportunity here, and it pays off with a trophy. Nick, we go to the Champions League, which has quite the trophy itself. And Nick, I texted you earlier today. I said, you must be shitting yourself. You get through Arsenal versus Porto, goes to penalties, and they end up winning. Some clutch performances in that penalty shootout. A lot of your big names stepped up, knocked him in. None bigger, though, than the performance of David Raya in net. Ramsdale gives away the goal versus Brentford in the Premier League game. Champions League Raya, and he certainly put a gap between him and Ramsdale in any type of discussion that there may have been. Nick, how much were you shitting yourself going to a penalty shootout versus Porto in Champions League on a season that seems like it just meant for Arsenal to win this game?
Yeah, I was, educating the youths of America, shaping our nation's future. So my game plan was to not get. I muted all alerts from all my sporting apps and just watched the game before the pod today. And then I got a flags text late on in the day that said, "You must be shitting yourself." I was like, "Fuck!" So I couldn't wait anymore. Middle of class, I pulled out my whatever CBS or my Paramount app, put it on in my desk, and was occasionally checking it. Got to watch the last 15 minutes of extra time and the PKs. have since obviously rewatched the game. Hey, Porto, fuck you. Oh my God. What a disgusting brand of football to watch and cheer for. They, I don't know if you guys saw this. Their warm-ups today, every single player was just in the box practicing clearing balls. Like that was their warm-ups at the Emirates. Are you
I
fucking
fuck
kidding
with
me?
that. I
Oh
love
my
that
God.
mentality.
What a toxic goddamn club, an annoying team to play. And a fantastic test for Arsenal in a round that has been our curse for a very long time, even when we were in the Champions League. So big monkey off our back. Emirates was buzzing. You said it yourself. Shout out to David Raya. Went nuts. Let's be honest, there hasn't been a conversation about Raya and Ramsdale for quite some time now. But once again, proving why he is the desired keeper, not just in the penalty shootout, but the way he controls his box in the air is elite for a man who's really not that tall. It was really Raya, Odegaard, and Jacob Kivior who were our best players, at least through my eyes when I watched the game back. Odegaard with a beautiful through ball to Trossard. I don't know. I mean, I didn't think we were at our best. I think a lot of that is Porto's very compact. Shout out to Pepe, who, I mean, fucking Osama bin Pepe and the rest of Al Qaeda play the shittiest football in the world, but he is still definitely class because he bossed that game. He was incredible. But also, you could say he was at fault for Trossard's goal. Didn't close out quick enough. So, it is what it is. We are through to the next round. We are amongst the 8 elite clubs in Europe. I think our play and personnel would show that, and now we are in that round, so it's proving it. Very proud of the boys. Looking forward to the next round of football here in the Champions League.
In true March fashion, it is survive and advance for Arsenal. Can't knock Porto for their strategy here. Yes, they may not have played a good brand of football at all,
Oh my
but
God, so gross.
they were a penalty shootout away of making it a step further in the Champions League against a team in Arsenal that are on red hot form. So props to them for getting that close, but Arsenal come out on top. And I think as a neutral fan, that is what I want to see. I want those big names in the knockout stages. Mike, big names here. Barca takes out Napoli on aggregate. I believe it was, let's see,
4-2,
4-2 after a 3-1 win today. Is Barca, of the ones that are already through, PSG, Bayern, Man City, Madrid, Arsenal, and of course Barca, are they the weakest link? Obviously, those are some huge names, so it's a tough season to be any team through right now. You're not begging for any type of matchup, but is Barca the one that is the easiest there?
No, not the easiest, but they're a tier 2 team. There's obviously some tier 1 teams in the names you just listed, and they're in the second pot. I'd probably put them with PSG currently. I think Bayern Munich might even slip down in there with the way they've been playing recently. That's how I see it. It was a great win today. They still didn't look crazy convincing. The scoreline flatters us. 4-2 on the aggregate. It's great. But we went up too quick this game. Napoli came back, found a goal, and then they had the pressure on us for a good part of the game until that third goal went in for us, forcing some good saves out of Ter Stegen and some shakiness in the midfield. Rash challenge from Christensen, who's playing a CDM position for us at the moment. Kind of out of necessity. He is playing it well. It's definitely something he's adjusting to, but we don't have a dude to really play that position with Frankie out currently and Oriol Romeu just kind of not at that level. So big step up for him. Big names today. Fermin Lopez, awesome goal. João Cancelo got on there off a rebound. And the big Rob Lewandowski to seal it. He's got a lot of criticism this year, saying he's a step too slow, doesn't do enough off the ball, but he still finds the net. He still comes up big when you need him to. And that's really what I want out of an elite number 9. So I can't knock him too much. This seems like it could be the end of the line for Barca, though. we need a favorable matchup. I don't think we can do it over
Is
two
there
legs
one?
against a great team. Yes, I think we'll get into it more when we talk about the rest of the teams and who we think are the strongest competitors to win it all. But,
Well, Tracy, who do you think it is then? Let's get into it right now. Who of the teams there, who do you think is the most likely? PSG, Bayern, City, Madrid, Arsenal, and Barca through right now. Who's the most likely to win, and who do you want as a Barca fan?
Okay, are we including the two games tomorrow? Or are we just not gonna?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, obviously, if it's PSV or Dortmund, that's going to be a favorable matchup. I think those are the two weakest teams left in the competition. Both good sides who have some quality going forward, but I would take Barca over either of them. I think they could win by multiple goals at home and at the new, and they could probably get a win or a draw at least on the road. So I like those matchups. I think PSG is definitely winnable. Mbappe will probably do his thing, but the rest of the team isn't overly strong. I'm not super convinced by that back line. I think Barca's midfield can definitely handle them. And Bayern Munich, they're beatable at the moment. I think Thomas Tuchel doesn't know his best 11. I think he plays some players that don't deserve to be in the lineup. And I think we could take advantage of that. If Eric Dyer's in the starting 11 against this attack, Lamine Yamal is going to have a fucking heyday. He almost had a goal today. He's been our best player. And the 16-year-old, he'll have enough to get a goal or assist or a major contribution against that Bayern back line.
So who do you think is the best?
I would have to say Madrid. I think Man City is in that ilk. And I don't think Arsenal's far off, I'll be honest. But the best has to be Madrid. They have the strongest team, in my opinion, in the world. And they're the best in this competition. Always have been, always will be. Don Carlo leading the ship. You can't bet against them.
Nick, do you feel the same way? Is it Madrid? Strikerless Madrid with Jude Bellingham playing that false 9, 10 striker, whatever the hell he wants because it's working role. Is Real Madrid the favorite to win the Champions League this year?
No, I don't think they are. I think that their brand of football, as currently made, works in La Liga and has worked up to this point in the Champions League. Now they're like, I mean, unless they get PSV or Dortmund, like there are no easy matchups out there. Now we're gonna find out, like, can this current Madrid team do it at the absolute highest level? I haven't loved their league form. I get they're winning the league, but it's not a total domination of a Madrid side. Now, Tracy is right. They have a deep history of the Champions League. You almost can even throw out there. They could be fifth in the league, and you could still call them one of the favorites to win the Champions League, honestly. So I think it's City. I think City, defending champs and champion until you're not. Also, they're straight in the title race in the most competitive league in the world. If you ask me which team I would like to avoid in the next round, maybe City, but at least the travel's not that bad. But I do think that City poses the biggest threat to Arsenal as on our quest to be the champions of Europe. Madrid is a close second, obviously. Those are the two teams I definitely like to avoid. If I had to choose who I want to play, by the way, give me Bayern. Give me Bayern. I think that place is a fucking mess. And how sweet would it be for Arsenal to be the one to put that dagger in Harry Kane's heart? Well, let me tell you, that would bring me great joy. So I would like Bayern Munich in the next round. But honestly, at this point, you're playing elite sides left and right. You can't bank on getting drawn PSV or Dortmund. So whoever we got is who we'll play, and we're going to fucking give it our all to get to those semis.
Yeah, there are going to be some interesting matchups no matter what. There is no shying away from these teams here. I will say that I like the shouts around Madrid, Manchester City. I think I'd lean a little bit more Manchester City side. But I do think if you're looking on just a fear factor of having to go up against Kylian Mbappe right now with this PSG team, when it's his team and he's that main focus, he has been scoring and playing at a very high level. If you're looking at these matchups, I understand Real Madrid and Man City. It is the machine and amazing God squads. But Kylian Mbappe is that it factor that I would really want to avoid if I were any team looking at their matchup. But there are two other games here still to be decided for our final two quarterfinalists. That is, of course, PSV and Dortmund, who have already somewhat mentioned. The Americans on PSV, of course, looking their way to a potential upset here, I would say, versus Dortmund. I think Dortmund in the first game maybe should have came out with the win, but PSV had a lot of attacking control in this one, and I think if PSV can finish off some of their chances that they're creating, because they do create, it's really just about their defense. Their defense, they don't have to do it much in the Dutch league. It's going to come down to, can you defend versus a Dortmund side that does have attacking quality for 90 minutes? The other game with potential bigger names going through and teams you would want to avoid are Inter Milan and Atletico Madrid. Inter Milan are in some fine form and starting to run away with Serie A. Atletico Madrid have somewhat switched up their style this year in La Liga to play a bit more attacking, with a lot of attacking talent now on that squad. Mike, you talked about you want Dortmund PSV. Is there a team out of Inter Atletico that you would want to face? I mean, these both seem like teams that are nightmares to play against tactically.
Yeah, both are nightmares to play against tactically. Both are tough managers to play against, and both are hard locations to play at, whether that's in Milan or in Madrid. That is a tough matchup in the quarterfinals, and doesn't flatter a lot of teams. Atletico Madrid could come out in a low block. They could play ugly football. They could be really, really hard to play against, and they can come up with scrappy goals with that talent they have. If Griezmann's available in the midfield, he's a world beater on any given day. And Inter Milan, as you said, running Italy at the moment, essentially the same squad they had last year and made it to the Champions League final, but they added some pieces that make them just a bit better, in my opinion. Marcus Thuram has been amazing up top as a strike partner with Lautaro Martinez. They have some defensive stability, added a few new guys. Benjamin Pavard comes to mind. He's been solid as a third center back option. And the wing backs that they play make them super dangerous on attack. The midfield trio is the same as last year. And although they have a few aging players with Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan in there, they are playing their best football to date. So tough matchups. If I had to avoid one of the two, it would be Inter Milan. I think they're a better team, and they're probably a dark horse to go all the way again this year. I would probably put them at the third or the fourth highest percentage.
Yep.
For me.
Lautaro Martinez in some wild form for them. That is our Champions League preview there, getting into the quarterfinals after tomorrow's games. There is still some Premier League this weekend, though, that we need to preview. Bournemouth versus Luton on Wednesday. Oh, God, please, Cherries. I know you kind of shit the bed versus Sheffield, but Luton Town is just the pain in Everton's ass that is constantly threatening them. We need a Cherries win here. That is what I think should happen. Who knows if it will. Burnley and Brentford are going up against each other. Brentford better get a win here. It seems that they should be above this level. But Brentford has not been buzzing much as of late, other than a tough game that they lose to Arsenal. Luton then plays Nottingham Forest. This is a relegation scrap if I've ever seen one. Give Gio Reyna the start in this one. I tell you what, Nottingham Forest will stay up. If they do not, let's go Ross Barkley, the former Toffee. Fucking score 50 on him. Hang a 50 burger on him, why don't you? And then we get into really the two games that really drive all the storylines of the upcoming games. It is Fulham versus Tottenham and West Ham versus Aston Villa. Both these teams fighting for fourth place that just matched up against each other. We'll be playing against mid-table sides. West Ham, obviously, a little bit better than Fulham this season. But is this just a bit of a litmus test for both Tottenham and Aston Villa to see if they can be consistent enough to get that fourth spot? Nick, who do you see faltering here? Is it Aston Villa you see more likely, or Tottenham?
I think it's more likely that Tottenham would slip. I think they're riding pretty high. That being said, Fulham doesn't inspire too much fear, although they have been playing pretty good football. Shout out to Fulham, who I think sneakier higher in the table than a lot of people realize. That being said, there's just not enough there to really threaten. I understand Mooney's has been, in pretty good form, and some of their players have been overperforming. Jedi Robinson proving once again to be the best left back in the world. But West Ham just has a lot more attacking danger. I think both Villa and Tottenham win it this weekend. That being said, we could see end of this weekend Tottenham back in fourth place over in Aston Villa's side if West Ham shows up and plays their best ball. So interesting games to watch out for. Obviously, feels less likely, Tracy, that number 5 spot becomes Champions League eligible for the Premier League after Brighton's loss to Roma. But still up for grabs. That being said, the guaranteed 4th place spot is incredibly huge. So it's going to be a close race right down to the finish. Excited for this weekend.
Yeah, it will be an interesting weekend for that Champions League spot. As we just went through all those games, there are really the hopes of England, and that 5th spot rest on Manchester City and Arsenal going very far and getting that coefficient up for them to get that 5th spot. So Aston Villa and Tottenham cannot feel safe unless they have that locked in 4th spot. But Nick, you said something that just made me feel amazing. You said Jedi Robinson, the best left back in the world.
To be clear, I was joking. To be very clear, I was joking.
We'll cut that in post production there.
Yeah,
Nick meant that 100%. And that is a beautiful transition to our U.S. men's national team corner. We have a game, boys. We have a U.S. men's national team game in just 9 days versus Jamaica. When Jamaica's manager was asked in a press conference, when do you think that signature win will come with all these top Premier League players coming over? Checks his watch, looks over at Greg Berhalter, and he said, 2 weeks. That is this game versus the USA.
What a G, bro.
Mike,
I love it.
The U.S. team is in some of the finest form that a U.S. team has really ever been in. The amount of players we have in Europe, not just playing, getting minutes, but playing extremely well, getting goals, assists, man of the match performances, it is at an all-time high. But you can say the same exact thing for Jamaica, who has Leon Bailey playing absolutely outside of any type of expectation that people would have placed on him this season.
Outside of his mind.
Outside
of expectation. You do have a lot of talent. Gray, Antonio up top. You have
Bobby Decordova-Reid.
Exactly. You have a whole host of talent on that Jamaica team that it does seem like it may be time for them to get a result, but is it just not going to happen against a USA team that's this talented, or do you think Greg Berhalter finds a way to shit the bed in the semifinal?
Where's this game at?
It is
That shouldn't matter.
AT&T Stadium in Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in the U.S. That always helps, I guess. We'll have the majority of the fans, but we should have enough. This is a talented Jamaica side. They have some firepower up top. I don't know the full extent of the roster aside from the attackers and Blake and goal, but I think we should have enough. I think we have a few lineups that are better than them. So we should be able to handle them. I think it would be a pretty disappointing result if we don't get the win.
Yep. And Nick, as I said, this is a red hot American player pool here. And the roster should come out sometime this week. Before it does come out here, what are some of your predictions here? Because the attackers are all scoring goals. The midfielders are all on fine form. Who's making the cut? If you have, 5 attacker spots, 6 attacker spots, and 6 midfield spots, who are your 6 for each? Mike, I'll give you midfield. Nick, I'll give you the attack. Who are your 6 And Nick, I'll start with you here with those wonderful attackers we're having.
I really don't think. It's like roster decision. I feel like the roster is going to kind of build itself. I understand this is the deepest we've ever been, but despite what a certain host of Footy with the Boys may tell you, Haji Wright is not making this team. So like
Haji
I
Wright
think
very much so.
there is
as a
no
winger,
way Haji
make
Wright
it.
is okay. If you want to bring in Haji Wright
Get to the
over
World Cup.
Kevin Paredes or whatever, then I can see that happening. But if you look at that, at least the number 9
playing winger.
position, there are 3 very clear guys. It's going to be Ballo, it's going to be Pepe, and it's going to be Josh Sargent. The question is who starts. We've talked about it before. I like Josh Sargent based on his current form. He's finding the net every time he plays. And, pretty good competition in the championship, I'd say. So I'd give it to Josh Sargent. He's not going to face like much stiffer competition than what he's facing in the championship from either Jamaica or Mexico/Canada. So I think he's a lock for me to start at least. And then, the wingers, obviously it's Pulisic. Obviously it's Weah. I guess you got to bring in Brendan Aronson as well. And, maybe.
That's 6.
Yeah, I mean, do you give it to Aronson? Do you give it to Paredes? Paxton Aronson, maybe? What's the name of the guy in Mexico? Zendejas, I think.
Zendejas.
He's been
Alejandro.
playing well. So that 6th spot is a tough one to, really determine. Weah gets in even in not incredible form, but just based on his history with the U.S. men's national team and his talent level. I don't know. I think the roster kind of speaks for itself, at least in the attack. What do you think about the midfield, Trace?
Yeah, I think there's a few locks. I don't know if it's as cut and dry as the attack, but the locks are going to be Weston McKennie, Johnny Cardoso, and Yunus Musa. I think those 3 are guaranteed to go. And then it gets a little hazy, I think. I think there's a few other options. I think Luca Della Torre's got a good shot of going.
Malik.
Do you look at MLS guys? Well, yeah, Malik Tillman's obviously going to go. Gio Reyna probably obviously going to go.
That's your
But then
6
you-
right there.
That's 6 right
Not
there.
5, right? Cardoso.
That's
You got
fine.
Weston, Eunice, and Johnny.
Yunus.
Gio, Malik,
Malik.
and Luca. Yeah.
Luca's not a guarantee, I don't think.
But
I
who
wouldn't
else
be
do you bring
surprised.
if you're not bringing Luca?
Luca's been playing very well for Celta de Vigo.
And Greg loves Luca, bro. Greg loves Luca.
I don't know if he does. I don't think Greg Berhalter watches Luca. Greg Berhalter's quote on why he didn't bring Luca Della Torre to many camps was he's not good at transitioning the ball, when that is like the bread and butter of what Luca Della Torre is as a player. So I'm not sure if
Well,
he's the most fond.
Greg not watching his pool would not surprise me at all. It's just
It's like, yeah,
just
FIFA,
like-
he's not the best.
writing Gio Reyna comebacks is what he's doing in his free time. This fucking guy.
Yeah, we'll
what
say
do
it's
you-
Luca Della Torre, though, because I think they're kind of strapped for options and a deeper lying midfielder, and he's playing in a high league. So, yeah. The MLS guys I would think of are probably more attacking focused. It wouldn't make sense for the roster.
I'm sure we will debate the starting 11 come next Tuesday, Flags. But I think the biggest question marks in this team right now lie in those center backs and goalkeeper decisions. What do you make of it there?
Center back and goal. I think goalkeeper, you go with Matt Turner.
Do you
He's-
though?
He's
Yeah.
been very good for the US, and I think the problem with Nottingham Forest that he started to have was that they asked him to use his feet a lot, and that is not Matt Turner. He's a shot stopper, and he's a bit more of a basic goalkeeper. I think the US knows that. They are not going to ask him to be playing out of the back like crazy or doing anything that puts him outside of his comfort zone. And I think with the US, he also has that added confidence that he's performed so well for them. I think you have Matt Turner. I think you have Ethan Horvath, who's doing very well now that he's moved to Cardiff City. And Gaga Slonina, I think, is the other option.
Gaga.
To be honest, there is just not about anybody else for the US that you could really say is
Drake calendar.
that much.
I'd give him a big
he's-
shot. Yeah, he's good.
He's not been the most amazing. I don't think he's proved himself fully over a Gaga or a
Cool name though.
Ethan Horvath. quite yet. Yeah, it's a calendar.
I mean, vibes. It's just vibes.
I've been
that count.
impressed by his shot stopping. They give up a lot of shots in that Miami defense. So
Yeah, they
I
do.
think he's been pretty
He's had a lot of
solid.
stops. He's also somewhat error prone, and I don't think he has the same level of confidence that Matt Turner has. I think it's a lot easier to press him into mistakes. I think the
How
back
about those
line
center
is
backs?
the back line, the outside backs. Let's talk about them because that's easy. That's Sergino Dest and Jedi Robinson, and you have
And?
Joe Scally as another option. You're like, all right, we're great. You go to center backs. Chris Richards, I think, is a lock. But
could be.
yeah, there are certainly
Questions.
questions on that other center back position because Cameron Carter-Vickers has had a lot of injury problems this season for Celtic. You would say probably him, but you don't know really how fit he is right now. You have Tim Ream, who has not been playing as much as he usually does for Fulham. I'm sure he probably ends up getting the start just because of his career with the US in the last year and a half. But then you also have Mark McKenzie, who's been doing very, very well and playing a lot in the Belgian league, and I think it is time to give him another shot. But
He's not.
last time you played him in the Nations League, he did end
Very
up
good.
giving up a big pass that was led to a Mexican goal. So it's center back, I think it has an argument for the weakest spot. And Nick, I think you almost brought this up when you were choosing attackers, is we talk so much about the goals we're scoring with all the strikers we have. The winger depth is awfully, awfully thin. It is Christian Pulisic, and then there's a pretty big gap down to Tim Weah, who does not play that much for Juventus. That's never been an issue because he was at Lille, not playing much, and was still balling for the US. But besides those two still, Kevin Paredes is getting decent minutes, hasn't had crazy production. Alex Dejas has production, but it's in Liga MX. Brendan Aronson has not had minutes or production, really. I mean, where...
Cade Cowell, Liga MX.
Cade Cowell, yeah, that's
Cowell's
that's
not
something.
going to be anywhere near this camp. Jesus Christ.
Not yet. Not
Cade
yet.
Cowell, hey, he honestly is not that
I love
far.
Kate Cowell.
That's why you see maybe a Haji Wright shout for this, is he's played a good amount of wing for Coventry. And quite honestly, there's just not that many other options. But I also think that's where you can add in an extra midfielder and put Gio or Malik as a winger.
I think that's the more likely option, that if they need a winger there. That being said, I mean, just think about the scenario. We need a goal to avoid penalties or to tie the game or whatever. Who would you rather see like being pulled off from their warm-ups, Tracy? Haji Wright or Brendan Aronson?
Haji Wright, because I know he
that's crazy.
can score a goal. I mean,
You
Brendan
have not
Aronson-
watched him at Coventry, bro. He's
That's
balling.
crazy,
Dude.
bro.
Brendan Aronson is a workhorse. You want him to see out a game. If we need a goal, I don't want him on the field because there's no chance he scores a goal.
Brendan's
Sorry.
direct though. He
He's-
causes problems. He
Yeah, but
doesn't
he's-
like
Brendan
have
plays
end products.
confidence.
No
But
end
the thing is,
product, right?
He's
That's exactly
such a
right.
confidence player. Like, you see him in these international games when he's given confidence, and he's dribbling around German players, like 5 of them. And you're like, where the fuck has this been in his entire career? And you see flashes of it, but he's just not consistently confident enough to make those plays that he becomes an effort merchant rather than using his talent of dribbling, which he's shown at times, and then goes so cold for so long. But Haji Wright, Nick, you're disrespecting him. When Borussia Dortmund was scouting Christian Pulisic,
Okay.
they went for Haji. He was the star, and now he's at Coventry. He's killing it. Big
Now
Haji
he's at
guy,
Coventry.
and he's killing it.
What a
Josh
Okay.
Sargent was also a top prospect. He was the US's top scorer in every youth tournament. He's at Norwich. He's killing it. Haji, similar path that brings him to the championship. And listen,
We're an English football
he could
podcast.
make a difference.
We got to shout out
Yeah.
those championship players. I want to circle back real quick to the center backs. Can we lock in 2 starters and 2 reserve? I think it's a wide pool there. Aside from maybe the midfield, our deepest position is at center back. So
What the
I think
fuck
so.
are you talking about?
In what world?
Where's the
the
depth?
amount of players playing in Europe, strong.
Okay.
And our strongest prospects who play in the MLS are mostly defenders.
But what list the depth?
Tim Ream, Chris Richards,
Okay, Tim
Art
Ream,
McKenzie,
not
Eric
playing,
Palmer
lost a
Brown,
step.
John
Eric
Brooks.
Palmer Brown? What this is from 2018. What are you talking about? Hold on.
Is that a good season for Panathinaikos? John Brooks has had a good season for Hoffenheim in Germany. Like,
don't mention John Brooks' names around USMNT. He's never coming back. The pipe
we
dream
already
is
know
dead.
John Brooks is not coming.
I mean, Tim Ream was out of the team for a long time, came back in his mid 30s, and
because he
John Brooks
sucked for a long time.
Like
John Brooks has been good.
I think this may be the thing is I think that
but that's depth.
For what you're saying,
It's not
if
good
this
depth.
were 3 or
It's
4
not.
years ago, this would be the most insane depth that the U.S. men's national team has had for the talent level because we would have so many players in Europe playing well and doing decent. Even Tim Ream, if he was playing in the Premier League and not getting that many minutes, we would say, wow, he's in the Premier League and he's getting some minutes. But do you think the standard has shifted? Do you think that's the difference between Nick and I's perspective and yours? That maybe that standard of what we thought, now it's a Jedi Robinson, Chris Richards, and Serginho Dest in that back line with this other player. Do you not see a drop off there from Chris Richards to whoever is number 2 right now? I guess Cameron Carter-Vickers, if healthy, is pretty decent. But other than that,
Is he healthy right now, though? Isn't he out?
he's in and out constantly.
Maybe a little bit of a drop off. I think we shouldn't disrespect Mark McKenzie because he's having a great season in Belgium.
Yeah, Mark McKenzie is doing
And there's a little bit of context with Chris Richards. He's playing well. I won't say anything otherwise, but he is playing out of necessity, essentially, with Mark Guehi going out for a major injury. He wasn't a first choice player, but their other center back options weren't available. So he came into the team, played him out of position.
They literally fit him
Now
into the
they are.
midfield to get him to play. And now they're at a 3 at the back. So even when Gueye comes back, he's going to keep a spot.
Yeah, but there is context related to it. So yeah, I think maybe he's a cut above, but I think there is some serious depth there. And just because they're not in the highest leagues of football, not playing in the Premier League, we shouldn't discredit them because a lot of our attackers that we're saying the same thing about are playing in Netherlands, playing in other smaller leagues. So we should keep the same standard for all of our positions.
Yeah, but I am not saying that like because they are in smaller leagues that they shouldn't be playing. Okay. I am saying that I don't like the form that any of them are in. Austin Trusty, fucking horrible. Cameron Carter-Vickers constantly injured. Tim Ream clearly taking a step down. I mean, I don't know. It would be Carter-Vickers. I think that'd be the partner, but
I think
again,
Carter-Vickers and McKenzie are the 2 shouts you can have for that other position.
And that's another one. McKenzie, I think, is super fair. I think McKenzie should be the starter based on how he's performing. Belgium isn't the biggest league, but it's a pretty solid league. And he's playing for one of the biggest teams in Belgium, which also matters.
Yeah.
I am scared because the last time we saw him at this stage under these lights, he did not perform. Not only did he not perform, he fucked us. Like, he was very close to being very bad. So I think that, there's a little bit of what do you do with him there. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see Miles Robinson next to Chris Richards to start. He's in fine form in the MLS. Berhalter, has faith in him. As long as it's not
you
like...
may have just cracked the code.
I like Miles Robinson too. I think he's a quality player.
Miles is fine. He's okay.
I mean, he would have gone to Europe if not for the crazy amount of money difference between a salary for a center back in Europe and MLS.
Yeah, I mean, I expect him to be the guy. I don't know who the other 2 are going to be. It should be Miles Robinson starting and then bring in Tim Ream. If Carter-Vickers is good to go, bring him. If not, bring Mark McKenzie. I just don't have a lot of faith in that center back pairing, specifically also when, there are questions, at least from me, maybe not so much from you guys, around our goalkeeper. That being said, what's going to help that is maybe our most informed player, Johnny Cardoso, and maybe one of our best players, Tyler Adams, being in that midfield. If Tyler goes, he probably won't. But, Weston there as well, Luca there as well. There is there is definitely some good support from the midfield, some good shielding from the midfield that I think will make their jobs a bit easier versus the likes of Jamaica and Mexico or Canada.
Would
Yeah,
you guys be
that-
surprised to see Walker Zimmerman on the roster?
Oh God, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd be pissed.
Did he not just take a pretty serious knock? Ready to go
Oh,
out of
did
the
he?
game or no?
In that Inter Miami game?
I thought so. Did he? Go
I
on.
have no idea.
Maybe. I don't know.
No clue.
Listen,
Greg will still bring
it
it.
is not good that we have this many questions around the center back position when we are going up against Jamaica, who has Premier League attacking talent there. We will have a full preview once we do get that roster. We will tell you what our starting lineup is, who we think will win, who will be the keys to the game, and what will happen in that one. So stay tuned on our channel for that one. We move to our lock of the week competition. We may not have new locks of the week, but we can update the score here. And producer P, I believe we all got points except Mike, and that just means me and Nick.
Yep, all of you except Mike.
We had
Wait,
Nick
Everton
getting
didn't tie Man
points.
U?
Nick got points on predicting a draw versus with Man City versus Liverpool 2-2. Ended up being 1-1. I predicted that Arsenal would beat Brentford 3-1. They let me down. Not the high-scoring team that I thought. Only a 2-1 victory there. And Mike set his expectations for Everton low with just a draw versus Manchester United, and they still could not meet them as they lost 2-0 to the Red Devils there. Palmer, what is the score line looking like right now? I believe that would have just put Nick in front of Mike by 1 point, 14-13, and then I am in the lead at 17. 10 weeks left, boys. Mike, it looks like you're going to be needing some clutch performance down the stretch. You think you can do it?
Yeah, I didn't think penalties counted for the goals, so I should have factored that into the equation. That's on me. Yeah, I'm not worried though, dude. It's been on easy mode. I'll start making some good picks here.
Let's get a few
Nick has been
green
on a bit
beans
of a
together,
heater
and
here.
all of a sudden,
Nick is Mr.
low-key.
Consistent at the moment.
Mr.
Yeah.
Consistent. He doesn't get any of the scores fully right, but he's getting the
He knows who's
result
winning.
right.
Yeah.
Get
I
this
hit
man on
Bournemouth
FanDuel.
earlier
goddammit.
this year, and I was so happy. That's the only one I've hit all year.
So I think
The
I'm only
Villa
got one as
Luton
well.
one
wait.
is my absolute favorite.
That's
one
actually
I've
your
got.
only hit.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Which, by the way, Bournemouth 2-1 Burnley. Bleh.
What a call.
That's stinky,
A
dude.
terrible prediction.
Disgusting. That was before our
God, that-
relegation roll.
Yeah.
That second week, Everton 2-1 over Luton, and it does not hit. That was a depressing second week, man.
That was tough.
Yeah, then we have Sheffield, Luton, and Burnley. We said that in like the 5th week of the season that they were all relegated, and it is
Well,
not
we
changed
promoted
one
Luton. We promoted
Yeah,
Luton.
We did promote
We
Luton,
did.
but wow, what a season. We move, though, to close out our pod with our one question from producer P. Let's see where this one ends up.
All right,
P,
boys.
take it away.
Let me pull up my little notepad here.
Pull something out of
All
while
right.
you're at it.
There you go. Okay, so as we all know, some of the Prem managers make questionable decisions when it comes to their money. I would like to know if you had to pick one of the bottom half managers to be in charge of all of your money, all of your finances, everything you own, who would it be?
Ugh.
Rock.
Um,
I'll tell you who's
Todd-
not in charge of it, and that is
Yeah,
going to be Chelsea.
Thomas Frank, easily. Thomas Frank's a money man.
Dude, honestly, is he though? He spent like
I think-
40 million on Kevin Schade for him not being that much of an impact player, even though I like him. Like, he has overspent on some players.
You have a few duds, but overall, their project is pretty good. They make good
Their project
money
is
moves.
good. I don't know about their transfer policy. I think they have some really solid veterans there. Pinnock, Tony, and Bomo.
I feel like Bournemouth, not a bad shot. They've made some good signings.
They spend a lot of money though. I don't got that kind of cash.
Hey, but
you
if
gotta
they're good
spend money to make
signings-
money, bro.
Honestly, I'd pick Rob Edwards. Give me Luton. Fuck it. Free transfers, bang
What?
for your buck. Let's go. In charge of my cash?
Nick picks
I ain't
a
got that much to spend.
currently
know.
relegated team.
Get relegated, you just lose all your money.
Yeah, it
no.
seems like a
No, you just
Better
go into
culture. I think
bankruptcy
actually
and then
a
get
good
bailed out.
a good shout is Fulham. They have found their way
Yeah, Fulham.
up to
Marco
12th
Silva.
without spending that much. They've sold off Mitrovic for a good amount. Gonna sell Paulinho for a good bit. I don't
hate
know.
that. I don't hate that. I
Don't
think the
hate
better
that
question
shout.
is let's pick Man City because the champions, but replace Pep with one of the managers from the bottom 11 who can still win it for City.
With the current roster?
And yet-
Yeah.
Sean Dyche.
No,
Sean Dyche with that talent.
On
Oh,
Dice,
yeah.
lad.
no,
Coaching
bro.
masterclass.
Mauricio Pochettino.
I think
I don't know about that.
Areola
Pochettino
or
with that
Marco
talent?
Silva. I think either of them could win.
I'd take
managing
Thomas
City.
Frank.
Thomas Frank's probably a good shot. Not Nuno. Definitely not.
No.
No.
We'll put
Glacier?
Big Vince. I'll put Big Vince Company to
Oh,
manage his
hey,
old
that's
team.
not horrible.
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
That's not a
that
bad
Player
might
shout.
be
manager?
their next manager. To be fair,
He could
Yeah,
come out of
that's not horrible.
retirement, player manager that, run the back line.
what are we
Andy's
thinking
bald,
of?
So there's not too
Uh,
much difference
The
in the
former
in the dressing room.
manager of Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson, taking over Manchester City.
He'd have a heart attack. The first time he just sees Erling Haaland train, he's like, "Oh my god!"
God.
You're gonna feel like the rest of his managerial career was a waste, not having players
Yeah.
like that.
Glasner didn't Glasner win the Europa League with Frankfurt, or were they second?
I think you're right.
I think they won.
They won it, right? Who did they play in
Yeah.
that final? Fuck. It was Frankfurt versus who in that final? I don't remember.
Was it
Fiorentina?
Sevilla? No.
Oh, was it Fiorentina? No, that was West Ham Fiorentina in the Conference League.
Yes, that was last year.
Palmer, can you search Frankfurt for
Europa
us?
League final.
Europa League.
Who'd they beat? Oh, Rangers. It was Rangers.
Yeah, that's a weird final.
Was it last year? Was it the Malik
2
Tillman
years ago.
Rangers?
2 years ago. 2 years
2022.
Oh,
ago.
2 years ago.
Years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, he has pedigree. Frankfurt won, I believe.
All right.
Big last.
Honestly, I don't think if you were given any roster to win the league with, giving anybody Manchester City, you have a good shout. I feel
don't
like
know, bro.
if us three were given Manchester City's roster, we'd at least get top 4.
I mean, I'm confident I could do it. I'm not confident they could do it.
We
I'll tell you what,
would
dude.
have.
I wouldn't
we
be doing
have
some of the
a-
tinkering that Pep does. I wouldn't be playing these
a footy coach.
fucking center backs and center
Oh.
mid and strikers at wing and all this inverted tactics. I'd be playing it
Mike
straight
is
up.
a
dude.
coach, so Mike
That's
has
True.
his
Did have my
tactics
first
laid
session
out.
today.
Ooh, got the boys running.
Wow.
Little cardio.
His UEFA
Girls,
A license
actually.
is coming in.
I'm ensuring that the U.S. women's national team stays stacked with talent for years to come. So our talent's
All
in good
right.
hands.
For all of our women's national team fans, we started our pod with you. We're going to end it with Mike telling you that your future is bright. Have no worries. He is on the case. But Nick, we know that Mike will be raising our next generation of Alex Morgans and Sophia Smiths. What are you contributing to close us off?
Oh shit. I mean, I am a teacher, so I feel like counts for something.
Got a lot of the
I,
future in this fucking pod. This is bad news.
I cannot tell you how ecstatic I am to be amongst the top 8 elite clubs in Europe. I think it's a huge honor. I think looking at those teams that are left, these are the teams. One of these teams are going to win the Champions League. Why not us? I think we have maybe not as good a shot as anyone, but a real chance to maybe make some magic happen this year, both in the Premier League and the Champions League. So an absolute joy, a thrill. The elation in my heart from winning earlier today was incredible. Shouted in the middle of my class when Raya made that last save. So just lots of love for the Gunners. Up the Gunners as always. Can't wait for the draw. Can't wait for these last 10 games. It is a good time to be me.
A good time to be a football fan. Champions League, amazing teams going through. Premier League, amazing title race. Subscribe, turn on the bell for noties. Hit us up on Apple and Spotify for if you want to just listen to the audio. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter. Tweets are coming at you live from Nick mid-Arsenal games. He has quite the takes and quite the aggressive takes at times as well. Follow us on everything. Until next time, peace.